What is going on, you guys? I know it's a bit of a change up today. Instead of covering the NFC West, I'm actually covering the NFC South. Nonetheless, the Panthers, it appears, are trying to get a new stadium. More importantly, David Tepper appears to want to bid for an MLS team. And, I mean, I don't really blame him, because Bank of America Stadium was pretty good for the time, but it's slowly but surely growing rather outdated. So the background behind this was a few months ago that the city of Charlotte appeared to be highly interested in attracting a new MLS team as part of the league's expansion. Considering that's actually gone pretty well for it. In fact, the MLS's latest expansions into markets such as Minnesota and Atlanta have actually proved to be quite profitable, but now it appears they want another change by expanding even further into the South by entering the Carolinas. Anyway, Tepper bought the team back in 2018, and actually in December of 2019, he was awarded an MLS team. He seemed to be the highest bidder in terms of bringing one to the Carolinas. And lately, part of his campaign, he's really been trying to reinvent the Panthers. He's overhauled a good chunk of their staff. I mean, reluctantly said goodbye to Ron Rivera. And the Panthers recently moved on from Cam Newton. But nevertheless, he seems like he's out to rebuild the team and rebuild its identity. And another major change is the possibility of a new stadium. Now, before you guys come at me and say, oh, it's not as bad as Oakland Coliseum, or it's not as bad as the LA Coliseum, or blah blah blah, it's still pretty modern, let me go over the issues of it. The problem was, it was designed to be a neoclassic stadium built for the time period, and a lot of those features really did not age very well, I hate to say. Now, fortunately, in 2018, they did renew the lease with the stadium, but rather reluctantly. It really appears like Tepper is just really trying to do all he can to get out of it. In fact, they could void it by 2025 at most. Tepper does seem highly intent on keeping the Panthers in Carolina, though, so fortunately he can try to use this to get leverage and public backing of funds for a new stadium, or even better renovations to Bank of America Stadium. In fact, this is part of a public proposal from the city itself to actually try and add an $800 million transit district and new entertainment district centered around the stadium. Fortunately, there are notable sites and large pieces of land within the uptown district of Charlotte that Tepper might use to his advantage for expansion of a new stadium if it comes down to it. Let me go over the major issues. The problem is, the weather in Carolina really isn't as constant, or really isn't as habitable as it is in, say, Southern California or Arizona. The problem is they've had multiple issues with rain, they've had issues with humidity, they've had issues with sunlight, and it's just not very habitable in late September all the way through November when you're in the South. I mean, it's a very humid climate zone, it's prone to rain, it's prone to thunder, there's even been several instances of snow. Problems even pile up if you look at the age of the stadium. It was built for a completely different era. There isn't actually a concourse for fans to stand up and watch from bars overlooking the field. In fact, it's completely enclosed. It's either behind a luxury box. Made worse for the possibility of a future MLS team, as the stadium is only really capable of hosting football, and the seats are not interchangeable. They're completely cemented into place. Lately, however, there's been some rather odd proposals to either put a roof over the stadium or demolish several of the luxury boxes, and probably the worst one I've found that received a lot of fan criticism was the Superdome renovations that actually kicked the Tulane University baseball team out and kicked LSU's baseball team out of the Superdome. In terms of scouting for land, they don't have to look very far. There's actually a piping company right across the street that might be willing to play ball with Tepper if he can get his pricing right and his funding all in order from the city and privately. Anyway, there's yet to be any more information updated about the stadium situation. I should also note that since the time of completion in 1995 of Ericsson or Bank of America Stadium, there's actually been over 25 brand new sites that have actually been constructed in that span. So it has been also declared obsolete by several fan surveys and by the NFL's fan websites. You know, that's pretty much it. I will leave you with a fun fact. In fact, the first season of the Panthers in the NFL, they actually played in Clemson Stadium. They're actually pretty under capacity for how big of that college stadium it was, but nevertheless, I found that quite odd. They actually started in South Carolina. Anyway, if you got any more comments on it, feel free to let me know down below. Sorry, YouTube moved the comment section and it's extremely stupid. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys.